My name is Rubin, and I'm a professor emeritus from the University of California, San Diego School of Medicine in the United States. I'm a pulmonologist, specialist in lung disease, and my professional interest my entire medical career has been patients with pulmonary hypertension. The history of the World Symposium is a very unique one, I think, in the medical profession, because the very first one in 1973, I believe, was the first time that a small group of physicians who were interested in pulmonary hypertension came together and started to define what pulmonary hypertension is and agree to collaborate and work together. Up until that time, because it's not a very common disease, there was no group working together. And since then, every 5 years, we've now had a World Symposium, and the number of attendees and the number of experts just has enlarged tremendously, and that means that there are so many more physicians, scientists, nurses who are interested in pulmonary hypertension, and therefore there are more people working on new treatments and developing new ideas and new treatments. This WSPH is an opportunity to work together with people with similar interests and expertise to be able to define the direction forward, which you can't do in isolation. You can't do it alone. I went to medical school in New York City, and then I did my training in internal medicine at Duke University in North Carolina, and it was there when I first had a patient to take care of with pulmonary hypertension. First patient I ever had with pulmonary hypertension. I didn't know anything about it. So I went and I took the textbook of medicine. It has everything in it, every condition. And I looked up pulmonary hypertension, and there were two sentences, just two sentences. And it said, nobody knows what causes it, there's no treatment, and everybody who gets it dies. And I said, this sounds very challenging, very important. And so with that patient began my interest in pulmonary hypertension. I think the important role that WSPH has had and will continue to have is the one place in time where the experts in the world of this condition can meet and talk together about important issues for which we don't have answers or which we haven't resolved, to help create a path forward of the important aspects that we need to address to be able to develop even more and better treatments, but also to help educate physicians around the world about what is the best way to take care of patients now. Each and every one of my three colleagues that are on the committee are long-standing friends and colleagues, professional colleagues that I've worked with for many years. And I think what makes them very special for me is that I learn so much when I interact with them. And we talk to each other about things or problems or questions we have, to have their experience and their knowledge, and we share, and that just makes everything go better. We're not fighting with each other for my idea is better than yours or I'm more important than yours. You know, sometimes happens in medicine and science. We each have, I think, tremendous respect for the other colleagues, and therefore we work together and we share the same goal, The same goal is to do even better for our patients with PH. I have many memories of experiences that I've had as a physician caring for patients with pulmonary hypertension, including many patients who were involved in the very early clinical trials of new therapies for pulmonary hypertension. And that has given me a great deal of satisfaction knowing that I've contributed to the health of those patients, and before I and my colleagues were around, they would have no choices for pulmonary hypertension. They would all die. There are many pharmaceutical companies who have a compound, a drug, on the shelf, and they don't know what to do with it. But they know that PH has been a successful field to develop drugs, and also successful financially for the companies that develop it. And so they tend to take something off the shelf and say, we're going to study this for PH. And I don't like that idea, because that's not taking the patient into consideration. It's taking your financial status, not the patient. We should remember that, our patients with this disease have a very important role. It's their disease, it's their condition. And we want them to be able to communicate freely with their physicians and have support for themselves, for them and their families in terms of dealing with the disease and meeting other people and families who deal with the disease, so that they're not alone. Because very sick patients can feel very alone. To move forward, this is the opportunity, this World Symposium, this meeting, the planning, the writing, is a way to share in that group that is moving forward